Okay, so we're going to start. Today, we're going to focus on closing. So a lot of you guys probably you think about closing, as something that you do at the end of the presentation. After we finish today's content, then you probably will have a different understanding of what closing really is. It's not just what you do at the end. It actually starts from the very beginning. I know out there's many ways to close. There's assumed closing. There's just a whole bunch of type of closing, right? There's techniques. But if you didn't do it correctly from the very beginning, doesn't matter what kind of closing technique you have, it's going to be hard for you to close. So that's why it's not a what you do at the end. It's actually a process. Okay, so today's content, the Closers Handbook. Okay, how do you close? If you really get what we're gonna go through today, you're gonna kill it. You're gonna be able to dramatically increasing your closing. So again, the format is the same, so I'm not gonna waste too much time on that. Okay, keep your camera on. Try to keep your camera on and participate. That's so that you can get more out of it. Okay, let me see. I'll try to put it on the side. Let me see. So closing is a process, and it starts from the very beginning. You'll know what I mean, as we go more down the. Okay. So I don't know, almost everybody know Martin Luther King, right? Just bear with me after I finish, then you know why do I want to talk about Martin Luther King. On August 28th, Dr. Martin Luther King, he gave a famous speech, right? I Have a Dream. It's part of the March on Washington. And when he did that speech, there's more than 250,000 people. Although he's a nonprofit person, but if you're talking about business, this 250,000 people out there are his clients. Why does he have so many clients? Why does he have so many? He has so many, have so many customers. Why does he have so many followers? Obviously, he's not a businessman, but if he is a businessman, he would be a very successful businessman too, because he has such a big following. Just think about it, right? If you have so many customers, you would be very successful as a real estate broker as well, right? Okay, welcome, Edward. So we just got started a couple minutes ago. So why does MLK has such a big following, such a huge following? So because he truly cares about equality for all, right? He's working at that cause, right? So are you willing to care about what the clients care about? So our past president, right, Roosevelt, he said, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So if you do not learn anything today, if you do not get any of the techniques today, if you just, let this, what President Roosevelt, talked about thinking, this is gonna, help you a big deal. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. This is the key, okay? So Lao Tzu, he's like a philosopher. He said, if you would take, you must first give, right? So MLK gave his life for his cause. I mean, not his cause, but the universal cause. So are you willing to give first without expectation? Okay, we're gonna talk more about that. So altruism, right? What does altruism mean, right? According to the Oxford Dictionary, altruism is the belief, belief in or practice of disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others. So obviously, in real practice, we're not gonna go spend our time, waste our time on everybody. What does that mean is you want to, you want the best for others, for everybody. You want the best for everybody. But obviously, we're not gonna waste time on people that's gonna waste our time, right? So we want the best for everybody, and for our customer that's truly our customer, we're gonna do our best for them, and we as long as that's our intention, right? But obviously, we're not gonna waste time on anybody that's gonna waste our time. We all know there's a lot of there are people like that, right? Obviously, I'm not telling you to waste your time. I'm just telling you. I'm not telling you. I'm just sharing with you. What does altruism mean? And you will see very soon that if you do practice altruism, it will make a big change in your life too. So I do want to make a distinction, right? Because for the newer agents, if I kept saying, oh, you want to think, you want to hope the best for everybody, you want to be a hero for everybody, but you do need to make the distinction. I'm not telling you to go waste time with anybody, okay? So basically, you want to give the client what they want, but it's not doing whatever they tell you to do. Okay, that's different. So it's knowing their desire and deliver it, right? Because we all know there are people there, there are customers out there. They're just like using the realtor like a slave, right? like a private servant. They tell the realtor to go this, go do this, go do that. So when you're doing something like that, in that situation, he knows what you want, but you do not know what he wants. So that's why he's telling you to do whatever he wants to do. But whatever you're doing, you're not delivering what he wants. You would just,
So do you think your code also do that parallelly, or?
Okay, somebody mute your.
Ray, you're on mute. Ray, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Sorry, I muted myself. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Thank you, George. Okay, so the big distinction we want to make is consulting versus selling. So a lot of people are selling, right? So what's the difference? Consulting is, you are coming from the client's perspective. I have this little two pictures, right? It's you guys see my slide. You guys see my slides, right? You see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So I have these two pictures, right? So on the left-hand side, you have a consultant. On the right-hand side, you have like a sleazy salesman, right? So what's the difference with consulting versus selling? Consulting is you're coming from a client's perspective, right? By the way, anybody have any question during the session, you're welcome to speak up. If you're selling, you're thinking about what I can get, right? So from the beginning, what we're talking about right now, everything's probably gonna sound, some of it is probably gonna sound pretty, foreign, because most people, obviously we're in this realtor business, we're selling, we're salespeople, we're making a living. But if you do have a different perspective, it will make a big change to what you do. Okay, so the first difference, client perspective, a salesperson, what can I get? Consulting, the second difference, you discover the client's pain versus I sell whatever I have. And then the next difference is you analyze the options versus buy what I tell you. And the next difference is you guide the client in the decision process versus you just think about, oh, how much commission I'm gonna get, right? And the next one is what is best for you versus how can I make a quick buck, a quick commission. So if you can switch this around, have a different perspective, it will make a big change. Okay, so I'm going to try to give more examples so that it doesn't sound very philosophical, because today we're talking about closing. We're not today, a lot of its concept is not really the techniques, but if you have this concept in mind, it's gonna make a big difference. Just bear with me. Okay, so it's going to be two major sections. The first section, we're talking about how to close without any sales skills. So this section is about, I think, 5 or 6 slides. If you can totally get it, then that's probably all you need. And after that, I have another closing framework that's talking about the closing in more detail. As long as you can get this first big portion, the big section, then you'll be far better off than most people. Okay, so this is the basic framework, right? First, you gotta care about the client. Second, you gotta understand what they want, right? And then you gotta guide them to the right solution, and then you're gonna guarantee the outcome. So this is the simple close. So we're not talking about techniques. We're talking about the mindset, right? So that's why in the beginning I was talking about the MLK. I was talking about Roosevelt, President Roosevelt. The reason he has so many following is because he truly cared. That's why people that's why it resonates so much. That's why everybody's following him, right? So obviously, if you can provide a service on a much bigger scale, then you will be able to get that kind of following. But right now, if we're talking about on an individual basis, whoever you meet, whoever you talk to online, whoever you talk to on the phone, if you can get this basic simple closing framework, everybody you come in contact with, you truly care about them, you truly take the time to understand what they want, and if you guide them to the right solution and guarantee the outcome, then you will dramatically increase your closing rate. So number one, we talk about this, right? You want to care about the client. Roosevelt is saying, right? People don't care what you have to say until they know that you care about them, right? Then the next steps, you want to understand exactly what the client want, right? So I'll give example for this. I'm going to try to give an example. Okay, so for this first one, care about what the client want, right? So let's say if you don't care about the client want, so somebody wants you to go buy a home for them, then you're gonna show them some home, and you're gonna tell them, oh, this how great this home is. Why don't you make an offer? That's like because you want to make the commission, right? Let's say if you truly care about the client, even before the showing or while you are on the way to the showing, you want to talk to the client. You want to figure out what they want. Why are they trying to buy a home? For example, if they just had a baby, then they need one more bedroom. Or if the wife had knee problem, they need to sell the 2-story home and buy a 1-story home. So if you really care about the client and if you really take the time to find out why they want to buy or sell a home, then not only you will get the business, but you will actually get more business, right? For example, let's say that knee problem, right? The wife have a knee problem. So most agents, most salespeople, they don't really figure out why, what's the motivation. So for those people, they're not going to get they may not even get the business, and not to mention even get 2 business. But if you truly care about the client, if you talk to them, if you communicate with them, and if you find out, the reason he wants to buy a home because the wife has a knee problem, so he needs to sell a 2-story home and buy a 1-story home. In this case, because you truly cared and you figure out the reason they want to buy, and then you got 2 business because you're going to help them to buy the home and you're going to help them to sell the home. That's what I mean. Okay, so that's what I mean. Care about the client. You want to take the time to figure out the motivation, their pain. Why do they want to buy a home, right? Okay, number 2. So understand exactly what the client wants. So see, we're gonna use that knee problem as an example again. So believe it or not, a lot of times, we have salespeople, that's helping the client, the customer the whole time without knowing what's their motivation for they wanting to make the purchase, right? For the knee problem example, they want to make the purchase because the wife could not go upstairs. The master bedroom is upstairs. They need to sell the home. They need to buy a 1-story home. So in this case, exactly what they want. They need a home that's either has 1 story or with the master bedroom downstairs, right? So obviously you don't want to be an order taker. You want to be a problem solver, right? So the biggest problem we have with a lot of salespeople is that a lot of salespeople are order takers. If you're an order taker, then you become a commodity, right? You cannot be an order taker because Let's say if they say, oh, I want a home that's a 1 story, that's has 5 bedrooms. Obviously, that's not gonna work because there's no product like that, right? How many times do you see a 1 story home with 5 bedrooms? It just doesn't exist, right? So that's why you cannot be an order taker. First, obviously, you want to understand what the client wants, and then you're gonna provide them with the solution. But the solution cannot be what they tell you. The solution needs to be you understand their motivation for the purchase, and you're gonna suggest them the product that's gonna satisfy their requirement, right? Let's say if they tell you, oh, I want a 5 bedroom that's that's 1 story, then what's other options? It could be how about a 2 story home with a master bedroom downstairs, right? So that's what I mean, right? So you want to understand their motivation, and then you want to deliver what they want, okay? Number 3, so guide the client to the right solution, right? It's what we talked about, right? So you don't want to be a salesperson. You don't want to be like, okay, here's what I have. You need to buy this. No, you cannot do that, right? Because for obvious reasons, right? So the right way to do it, the way that's going to get the client to go with you to be able to make the business work, to make the sales work, is that you give them options, right? Okay, so I understand that the reason you want to buy a home is because your wife have a knee problem, so you need to sell the 2-story home because your master bedroom is upstairs, right? So here's the options we have, right? Option 1, we find a 1-story room home with 5 bedroom downstairs with 5 bedrooms. So that way it doesn't exist. So that's out of the picture. Option 2, what about we find a 2-story home with a master room downstairs, right? Option 3, what about we find 2 units, right? The front unit and second unit, and you can live in one of the units. So all these are options, right? So so as a consultant, you want to give them the options, and then you're gonna help them to guide them to the right solution, right? That's why I say you don't want to be a salesperson. You say, okay, in this case, if you're gonna just be a salesperson, it's not gonna work because they're gonna tell you, I want a 5 bedroom 1-story home. It doesn't exist. Then the client is gone. You have no solution for them, right? So that's why you want to give them the solution, the options, and you want to guide them to the right solution. Okay, number 4, then you want to guarantee the exact outcome. You want to make sure they have the confidence that you can get a job done for them. So I'm going to give another example, maybe like a seller example, because this is about listing. So let's say, so we're going to use the same example, but from a different perspective, because we're trying to sell it. They want to buy a 5-bedroom home with a master bedroom downstairs. And if you can, that's why it's very important you give them options. Because if you just order taker, if you do not give them options, they tell you they want a 5-bedroom 1-story home, then you're not gonna get any of the business, because that kind of home doesn't exist. Then this client is lost. You lost 2 business. Number 1, you're not gonna be able to buy any home for them. Number 2, you're not gonna have the help. You're not gonna be able to help them to sell their home, right? So that's why you want to give them the option, and you tell them, hey, this is the options you have. Which one would you take? And you can guarantee them, hey, I'm gonna give the home you want, so that you can move into the new home, so that your wife do not need to go upstairs, and then we can help you to sell your home, right? So you want to give them the solution. You want to not give them solution. You want to give them the options, help them. You want to guide them to the solution, and you can tell them, hey, don't worry, I can get the home for you. These are the options, and I can also get a good price for your home that you are selling. Then you want to guarantee that you can get it done for them. Okay. So the secret, what's the secret? You will get you what you want if you truly care, right? Like what we talked about earlier. Okay, so anybody have any question about this first session, this first process?
Well, how do you guarantee it?
Guarantee what?
The outcome that you're saying.
You mean selling or buying?
Well, selling, of course. I don't work with buyers.
Okay, for the selling, that's in the next step we're going to talk about. So this is just a, because I mean, people are different, right? Some people are more technical, some people are less technical. If you don't want to get into all the technical aspect, if you don't want to, if you don't want to make it too complicated, just understand what we talk about the simple closing, you will do very well already. Yeah. So to answer what the question you asked, we're gonna be able to answer that in the next step. And in the next, it's not next step, but the more the complete version. Yeah.
For the listing part.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next step. So no people, you guys, anyone have any more questions about what we just went through? If not, we're gonna go to the next step. Okay, so the next process we're gonna talk about, this is the full closing process. So the close framework. Like I said in the beginning, closing is not what you do at the end. It actually starts from the very beginning. It's a process. Okay, first, you want to do the preparation. You want to prepare well. Second of all, you want to, open up the client. Third, you want to, go through the process, the three-step process. I'll explain each step. Next one, you want to show that you're superior and different. The service you have, not you, but the service you provide. And then the last step is, if you do all this, if you go through all this from the beginning to end, you will sign the listing. This is just a framework, what you're thinking in the back of your mind, what you're keeping track from the beginning to the end. It's going to take practice. You're not going to be able to get this on day one. It's going to take learning, memorizing, and practice. I would say for you to get a hang of this whole process, it's probably going to take you at least 50 to 100 presentations for you to truly get it, to be able to become proud of you. So first one, closing preparation. Okay, what I mean by that. Okay, so basically every section I use the acronym. So for this one is preparation. I use this as an acronym. So first, you want to make sure, obviously, the decision maker is there, right? Let's say if the wife is both and the wife and the husband is decision maker, you want to make sure they are there, right? Second of all, you want to memorize the script and objections. That way, whatever objection they have, you have an answer for it, right? That's why I say, you're not gonna get it on your first try. It's gonna take you, practice and practice in order to get every process, to work. This is preparation. What that means is that you need to know all this even before you go on the presentation. Okay, before you go to the presentation. So next one, you need to know the exact pricing, the home. You need to have a clear idea how much this home is worth. Because if you go into any listing presentation without the clarity in your mind, then you will not be confident. There's no way you will be confident if you go into any listing presentation without have a clear understanding of how much this home is worth. First, you need to have a clear idea what this home is worth. Okay. The next one you need to know that is to prepare the presentation. I'll go more detail for each step. And also this one, are you 100% confident? Because essentially, whenever you go into a listing presentation, to put it in one sentence is that you're transferring your confidence to the customer. Number one, you got to be confident. Number two, after you finish talking with the customer, the customer is confident in you. If you have done that, then it's a done deal. Okay, that's why you need to be confident. But how do you be confident? It's what we're going to talk about in this section which is the preparation. Okay, and also before you go to the listing presentation, you need to send the listing package, the pre-sale package, Basically, you want to pre-sell yourself before you go on the sale, right? It's a social proof. So in the pre-sale package, we're going to talk about what's in there. Basically, by the time when you get in front of the client already knows something about you from what other people talked about you. Okay. So it's a framework, right? 5-step framework. So first, you got to make sure the decision maker is there, right? Sometimes the decision maker, to make sure they're there, it could be a roadblock for listing for appointment booking. But ideally, you want to make sure that the all the decision makers are there. Sometimes they say, oh, I'm not sure, which day my husband will be available. Can we arrange a time next time? You do not want to say yes. What you can do is you say, okay, let's do this. What about when's a good time for you? Today or tomorrow? Okay, tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow 2 p.m. What if let's set a tentative appointment, and if your husband is not available at that time, we can always switch to another schedule. You still want to book the appointment, but obviously you want to make sure that all the decision makers are there. Okay, we'll talk about the preparation right now. Okay, this section. You want to memorize the script, you want to memorize the steps, you want to memorize the objections. Like I said, it's going to take time. You're not going to get it, with just a few tries. It's going to take at least 50 to 100 presentations. Like I said earlier, you want to know the exact price. So let's say if the home is worth, here's the thing. A lot of agents think that when they do comparables, it's for the seller. No, it's not. Whenever you're doing comparables, it's not for the sellers, it's for you. Because, let me share with you why. Because every homeowner you're gonna go meet with, every homeowner you're gonna go meet with, they know how much their home is worth. And they know how much they want to market their home. They know what price they want to put for their home online. So you're not telling them how much their home is worth. The reason you're doing the comparable is that, so in your mind, in your heart, you have a clear understanding of how much this home is worth. How much we price the home would make it too expensive. What price we price this home would make it a good deal. What price we price this home would make it a market price. You want to have a clear understanding of this home. Go ahead.
Ray, do you use a pre-qual script before you go out to pre-qualify them?
Okay. You talk about the script. Okay.
Oh, the pre-qual, like to pre-qualify them before you go out of employment.
Well, we just want to make sure that they are the homeowner. We just want to make sure that they do have a home to sell. We just want to make sure that they're the decision.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all we need.
Okay. No. Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question, because we're trying to get a listing, right? So we're trying to see if we can help them to sell their home.
Yeah.
What's the deciding factor that's gonna make sure that it works is that they must be the decision maker. They must be the person on the name. They must be the owner for the home, right? They must agree to meet with us. I mean, that's all you need to qualify. I mean, I don't know what else there is to qualify. I mean, as long as they're the person that can sign the paperwork.
Like you would say something maybe like, if what I say makes sense, you feel comfortable and confident, I can sell your home. Are you planning to list your home with me when I come out at Tuesday at 2?
Okay.
And then maybe
I know some people practice this, but for me, I don't think that's a good idea, because you want to look at it as a two-step process.
Mm-hmm.
The booking is you're trying to get in front of them.
Okay.
You're trying to get in front of them to sit with them face to face. That's the goal for that process, for that step.
Mm-hmm.
What you just talked about, that's more like the next step.
So like, for example, what if you say something, I study home prices every day, therefore I assume that you list at a home the price that'll cause your home to sell. So what price won't you go below?
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think what you just talked about, that's more of what we're supposed to do during the presentation, not during the appointment booking. Remember, the purpose of the appointment booking is to get in front of them.
But wouldn't that let you know whether they're way off base? So let's say the house is worth 700,000, but the guy wants 850.
Sure, yeah. We'll ask them, what price do you have in mind? We'll ask them during the appointment booking. So, okay, let me go in a little bit more in detail, then you know what I mean. There's a couple scenario, right? One scenario, you take listing, it's priced right, it's sold.
Right.
Another scenario is overpriced, you take the listing, it's not sold.
And you can go to price reduction.
Okay, it's exactly. So it's your call. Let's say If the price won't sell, you say, I don't want to bother, then you don't go. Let's say if you think, even if it's overpriced, maybe I can get a price reduction. Even if I don't get a price reduction, maybe I can get some free publicity. For example, you have listings, marketed online, you have for sale sign on the street. Let's say if the home doesn't sell, you still may get out of business. It's just what do you want out of it, right? You know what I mean, right?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on. Any other question? Okay, so we're gonna actually cover about the pricing. We'll cover about it. Okay, so then the next step, you want to prepare for the presentation. This is all you need to bring to the presentation. So actually, every time I go to a presentation, I have a briefcase. So because today is not about presentation, today is about closing, right? So that's why today I'm not going into detail of the presentation of what each item are, but in the next session, we're gonna go through it, okay? So every time I go to the listing presentation, I have a briefcase. Inside a briefcase, I have all these items. I have the listing marketing checklist. I have the market comparable. I have the listing contract. I have the listing presentation. I have the data printout, for example, Zillow, whatever. I have the buyer database printout. I have the bad news printout. I have the pricing reduction form. I'll have all this with me during each presentation. Okay, so we're not gonna go through in detail what each of these are, but we're gonna go through this in the next session on the actual presentation. Today is about closing. The reason today sounds like, although we talk about closing, but it sounds like presentation, is the closing, like I said, is a process. It's not what you do at the end. Because if your process is not right, doesn't matter what skill you have, you're not gonna be able to close. Okay. Remember, right now we're still in preparation. Okay, so today we're probably gonna pick up the speed a little bit because right now it's 10:40. We haven't finished the preparation. Okay, so like I said earlier, you gotta be 100% confident. If you're going into a presentation not confident, not knowing how much the home is exactly worth, not knowing what you can do to get the home sold for top dollar, if you do not have an answer in your own mind.
他那个已经啊，
If
给
you
他
don't
讲
have
对
an
不对？
answer,
说他这
okay,
个
somebody
cash 可能不够，他要求说你把它 cancel 掉。
谁讲话可以把那个声音。
他不管，他说你是 breach contract， 他说我干嘛卖给你啊？你知道他叫我写，那你说这个说什么写什么 reason 的 cancellation， 他叫我给他处理 cancellation。
喂，有谁在讲话？
啊？
你是跟他说呀？你已经跟他说了是吧？
说了，对，说不要。全嘛，我跟他讲。
It's Jackie. Jackie Chen is
就是骗
audio is on.
你一会儿再做这件事，先不着急，你别每件事都真是。
Jackie, let me see. Where's Jackie?
You can mute it. You can mute everyone.
How do I mute everyone?
I don't know.
Okay, never mind. Okay, he stopped. Okay, I guess. Okay, good.
你是 mute everyone.
Let me see.
I think what you do is you go to participants. Well, I don't know if you're on what you're on my iPad. Typically, you go on the participant section, you click on their name, and you should be able to mute them.
Oh, okay, guys.
So just find Jackie's name.
Okay, good. Okay, I think I muted him. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, so that's why you want to go in with 100% confidence. It's not a blind confidence. It's a, do you know about the home? Do you know what price it should sell? Do you need to know that, okay? Because if let's say if you go in and you don't know how much the home is worth, you don't know what price would make the home overpriced. You don't know what price would make the home appear to be a good deal. If you don't know this, you will not be confident. Okay, that's what I mean. If you're not confident, the seller can see it. Okay. So you want to send the pre-sale package before you go in. So what I do is I have a link on my website. So there's two ways to send the pre-sale package. One way is to actually send the actual package. I mean, that way is kind of it's a lot of logistic work. So that's why I didn't do it that way. So what we do is when my people, when my teammate book the appointment, we just send them the link. So we tell them, hey, can you take a look at our website before Ray meet with you? So that you will get a better idea of how we can get more money for your home. And when Ray meet with you, he will share with you in detail, something like that. Yeah, because it's very important to send the pre-sale package. Like I said, that way when you go there, you already have some level of social proof. The person that you're gonna meet with, to them, it's like you're not somebody that's stranger. It's like they already have some idea about you. So in the pre-sale package, you want to have some success story like client endorsement. You want to have some success data. You want to have reviews, things like that. Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna talk about how to open up the client. So this whole section is about psychology. Remember, today we're talking about closing. We're talking about the underlying process. We're talking about the what's going on in the back that makes sure that when it comes to closing, that you can close smoothly. Okay. So here again, I use the acronym psychology to go through each. Okay. So the first one, you want to show respect. So the easiest way for me to show respect is I just put on the shoe cover before I go inside. Here's the thing. You want to make sure there's a balance when you meet with the customer. You don't want to be too cocky. You don't want to be too, how do you say, like you're trying to back somebody to get something. Okay, there's got to be a balance. It's like when you're dating with somebody, or when you're like, let's say if you're trying to date somebody. If you look at the person and immediately you feel like this person is completely out of your league, do you think that person is gonna be your girlfriend or boyfriend? No, because there's no connection. There's it's not on the same level, right? So that's why. But first, because later on when we go into presentation, you want to establish your authority. You want to establish your superiority. But if all you do is show how good you are, how unique you are, how I can get it done for you, then it kind of a little bit off balance. So to make sure that you do not off balance in the beginning, you want to show some respect. The easiest way to show respect and without being like without looking like you're trying to kiss ass, is just before you go inside the house, put on a shoe cover. That way you're not kissing ass, but the people see that, oh, you this is an okay guy. They respect me, right? Okay. So the next one you want to do is you want to make sure. So we use the acronym, right? Psychology acronym. The next one you want to see the client disc. Remember, all this what's going on in the back of your mind. You need to process everything. So while you're doing the presentation, in the back of your mind, this is everything you're doing to make the whole picture work. Okay, so you want to see the disc. So usually what I do is when I go with the seller, I put on shoe cover before I go in. When I go in, maybe we're gonna, depending on how we do it, usually we just sit down on a table. Sometimes we walk around, look at the house. At that time, I start to figure out the client disc. How do you figure out? But you don't want to make it look like you're like a trying to like a detective. You want to make it look like you're chatting, right? So the easiest way to find out the client disc, it's just ask them what job they do. So today we're probably gonna go a little bit longer than 1 hour because right now it's already 10:50. We're still less than halfway through. So usually what I do is let's say if they're retired, you ask them what they do before they retire. The reason the easiest way to figure out this is figure out what they do. So there's 4 discs, right? There's dominance, there's influence, there's cautious, there is what's the other one? So basically there's 4 discs. The dominant people are usually the boss, the manager, the owner. The I is usually the salespeople, barber, and the S. Then the remaining you have the S and C. The C is usually like the CPAs, engineer type there, and also the S is usually like nurse type. So the D people, they want outcome, they don't want detail. The I people, they want to make sure the conversation is enjoyable. The S people, they let me see, they care about how the conversation make them feel, like the nurses, right? They want to, and the C people, they want the data, they want the details. So that's why you want to figure out their type, personality type, and then throughout the whole time of the conversation in the listing presentation, you're gonna give them what they want. For example, let's say if the person, I know they're a boss, they own their own business, I'm not gonna go too much in detail. I'm gonna tell them, hey, this is the outcome I can get you, no hassle, quick, easy. This is how I'm going to talk. Let's say if they're a CPA or engineer type person, I'm going to be like, so this is the data you can see, we sell many homes, we get really good reviews. We get 1,000 views on the first day. You want to show all this data, right? You know what I mean, right? You want to talk according to what they want. Okay, this is very important. So you do not skip. So this actually takes practice too. In the beginning, before I learned about this, I was kind of lazy in my mind. I don't want to, change my mind according to the customer. But you want to do it. You want to practice it. But the more you practice, the more you're gonna be comfortable with it. But it takes time. Okay. And the next thing you want to control. You want to ask questions. You want to keep in control. If you're gonna go meet with the seller and all you do is sit there and answer questions, you're done. You're not gonna get the deal. Okay. You want to make sure you're the person asking the question. How do you make sure of that? So let's say usually when you go, the people they're gonna ask, the seller, they're gonna ask you questions. You can answer the question. Then once after you answer the question, then you want to start asking the question. Okay. And also you want to control the timing. In your mind, in the back of your mind, you have to know what stage I am at. You have to know, is this seller open up to me yet? Is it ready for me to move to the close? Did I answer all their questions? Did I remove all their doubt? In your mind, you have to observe everything. You have to control it. You have to know when to move to the next step. Okay. And also you want to control the open and close. What I mean is that usually when you first meet with the seller, most of the time they're not open up to you because you're somebody that's kind of like a stranger, right? So in the beginning, everything you do is focus on open them up to get the trust. Because let's say if you don't open them up and if the whole time they're closed off to you, doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter you say how much I can get you home for, I can sell you home for, doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter whatever you can do, doesn't matter what you can do for them. If they're not open up to you, if they don't trust you, you're not gonna get the deal, okay? Obviously, you want to control everything, but you don't want to look like you're too bossy, right? You want to do everything in the background, make it look like you're chatting, but that's what you're doing in the background, okay? So you want to start with the why. So like I said earlier, you want to have a clear understanding of what they want. It's like what we just talked about earlier. So in this section, we're talking about the psychology. We're talking about in the back of your mind, each of these checklists need to check for you to establish a connection with the seller. And every one of these steps is pretty crucial. So, because I'm not trying to tell you to kiss ass, but you do need to make sure they like you. If they don't like you, there's no business to be done. So, right? I mean, George is knocking his head, is nodding his head. So, yeah. So how can they, so an easy way for me to do it, because it's kind of a subtle. You don't want it to look too much like a kiss ass, but you do want to, give them some praises so that they do like you, right? So usually what I do is, it's like sometimes, for example, let's say if I meet like last time I met a gentleman, like I just signed a listing in Southgate. So the guy, I met with him, he came downstairs to greet me. And then we went to his office and then we were just chatting and we just talking. So in the beginning, that's why in the beginning it's chatting. So you want to make sure that, you open them up. You create a connection before you go on and talk business. So we were talking. So he said, oh, I was in the Army before. I said, oh yeah, me too. I was in the Army before. You want to talk about similarities. And then he said, then we talked about something and he said, oh, I'm 83. I said, what? You're 83? Because he looked really young. He looked like he's like 60 years old. So I said, oh, wow, how can I be like you when I'm 80? So is that kind of, so you do want to create that kind of connection. You do want to, make them feel good. You do want to make them like you, I mean, but you don't want to be too cheesy. I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean, right? Just, you want to do it subtly. So you want to create that connection. Yeah, it's very important. Okay. Then like I said earlier, you want to observe their reaction. Right, you want to make sure before you're ready to move to the next stage, you want to make sure they're ready for you, right? Let's say if they don't like you and you're gonna try to ask them to sign the paperwork, it's not gonna happen. If they don't trust you, you're gonna ask them to, you try to close them and sign the paperwork, it's not gonna happen. If they don't trust if they don't think you're the authority in what you do, they're not gonna do the deal with you. They're not gonna sign the paperwork. So all this needs to happen in their mind. If they have no confidence in you, they will not sign the paperwork. So you need to observe them to see their reaction, their physical reaction, their body reaction, how they interact with you. You need to observe them. You need to know when they're ready. If they're not ready, doesn't matter what you say, they're not gonna close. Even if you're gonna sell their home for them for zero commission, they will not sign with you, because it's not about the money. You know what I mean? It's not about how cheap you are. It's about, do they think that you can deliver what they want? It's about that. Okay. So, you know, the social proof, we'll talk about that, right? Like I said earlier, you know what, you want to make sure the client opened up to you, trust you, like you. So you want to make sure you have exact understanding what the client wants. What does that mean? That means you know their why. How do you get the why? It's the what and the whom, right? And you need to know the exact pricing. You need to know exactly what the client wants. So the why and the want is a bit of a different, right? The why is the motivation. The want is the outcome they want, right? And you also want to know what's most important for the client. So this is all the questions you're gonna be asking during the presentation. And then the next step, the last step in the psychology is that you need to remove all obstacles before the client won't move forward. Let's say if they have any doubt in their mind, if they have any risk in their mind, they think if there's any perceived risk, if there's any doubt, any question mark in their mind, they will not sign the paperwork. So you need to make sure that, you know, all the risk in their minds removed. Because if they still have any doubt, they're not gonna move forward, okay? So this section, we'll talk about the psychology part of it, okay? Okay, next step. So we're talking about the 5-step framework, right? The pre-sale, the preparation, the psychology, and then the 3-step. So this 3-step, it's the selling. Okay, before we talk about preparation, then we'll talk about the psychology behind it. So this 3-step is the selling part. Okay, so the selling part, it's 3-step. First step is chatting. So we chat. What's the reason we want to chat? So this is actually the reason we want to chat is because we want to understand their disc, like we talked about earlier, right? And we want to understand their why, and we also want to understand what price they have in mind, exactly what price they want for the home. We know what home we know what price this home is worth, but we also want to know what price they want for their home. Okay, if you have a match, then it's a done deal. Then the first step is chat. The next step is tell stories. The third step is to answer questions. Answer question which is remove all risk. Tell story is like a social proof, right? And the chat is you're trying to figure out about the seller. So today today is not about presentation, it's about closing. So basically I'm just going through everything that you need to accomplish for them to be willing to sign the paperwork and to be able to close them. Okay, so in the chat section, you need to figure out the disc, you need to figure out the why, and you need to figure out what time they want to sell their home for. And for the story part, you want to give them example. So let me tell you what I do. So the story, usually I say, okay, we just sold a home in Ontario. We put this home on the market for $470,000. We did open house. We had 200 people came to the open house, and we got 15 offers. So here's what we tell the buyers. We say, hey, we already have 15 offers. If you want this home, you need to contract this. You need to be agreed to buy the home at this price. You need to agree to send the deposit within 24 hours. You need to agree to buy the home sold as is. You need to agree to, pay the appraisal difference. If you agree to this, all these terms, we'll sell the home to you. So I'm telling the seller the story, how we're doing it, how we're getting them what they want. A story like this, okay? And then you want to answer questions. So usually at the end, I ask them, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that I can get the job done for you? Like we said earlier, right? Essentially, everything you were doing when you go into listing presentation, number one, you gotta have the confidence. Number two, you gotta transfer the confidence to the seller, to the client. If you have done that, then it's a done deal. Let's say at the end of the presentation, if you have no confidence and the seller has no confidence in you, then it's not gonna work. So you do not move forward until you understand the disc, the why, and the pricing. Let's say if you do not know what the client's disc personality is, you do not move forward to closing. If you do not understand exactly the motivation the seller is selling their home, you do not move forward to the closing. If you do not understand exactly how much the homeowner wants to sell their home for, you do not move to the closing. Because if you do not understand these three aspects, if you move to the closing, you will not get it closed. The client will not sign the paperwork. You will not get the listing. Any questions so far? Okay. Okay, so once you understand all this, you know the client, how to communicate with them, you know their motivation, you know their pricing. So you understand everything. You know what they want, right? All this we just talked about, you know what they want. The next step, you're gonna tell them, now I know what you want, then I can deliver what you want. That's the next step, okay? So how do you deliver what they want? You need to show them whatever you have to provide to them is superior and different. In another word, you're not just any other realtor. You're not a commodity. Whatever they want, you are their best option to get them what they want. Okay, so here are some of the points this is a detail of the presentation we're going to talk about in the listing presentation section. So this is what you're going to go through to show to them that you're different and better, and you can get them what they want, where the other people cannot. Okay, now the last part. How do you make sure to get every listing signed? Okay, how do you make sure of that? If you have done all this, the listing, you will be able to sign the listing. Okay, number one, are you seeing the client heart to heart? Right? Do you have a connection? Did the client open up to you? Are you being honest with the customer, with the seller? Number two, are you doing everything in the best interest of the client? Right? Because yesterday I signed another listing for Temple City. I think 2 days ago, 1 day ago. So I will meet with them because they had some financial issues. So they were asking me, they said, okay, just be from a friend perspective, what do you think is best option for us? Then what I did is I went through all the options with them. Option A, positive, negative. Option 2, positive, negative. Option 3, positive, negative. It just happens that the best option for them is to sell the home. I'm not telling them that because I want to make the commission. I'm sharing them that outcome because that is truly the best option for them. That's what I mean in the client's best interest. You don't want to go into, meet with any seller and just with the mindset, oh, I'm going to get this listing, I'm going to sign the listings. If you're going to go in with that kind of mindset, you're not going to get the listing. Your mindset needs to be, what's the best option for the customer, for the seller? And if the best option for the seller is not sell the home, then that's what I'm going to tell them. That should be a mindset, okay? And also you want to make sure the energy and the confidence is transferred at the end of the presentation. Does the client, the seller have confidence in you? Do you feel a good vibe? You know, if you have that, then you know it's a good sign. And also throughout the whole process, you want to talk, but you want to listen more, especially in the beginning. In the first part, when you try to, you know, understand the client, you want to ask them questions and just sit there and listen. Maybe you're gonna talk more during the second half of the presentation, but during the first half, you want to listen more, okay? Because you're trying to figure out the answers, right? Why they're selling the home, what's the price they have in mind, you know, what's the most motivation for selling the home, what's their personality like. So you want to ask questions and just sit there and listen. You want to figure out all these questions. And also at the end, after you sign the contract, you want to establish a future. You want to make sure once they sign the listing contract, if the price is overpriced, you want to make sure they sign a price reduction form on the spot. That way, even the home you take the listing at a overpriced listing, that way, as long as they sign price reduction, then it gives you the power to reduce the price without having to go back to ask them for the permission. Because if you sign the overpriced listings, if it doesn't sell, you're just wasting your time and money. But if you, let's say if it's overpriced, but you also have them sign the price reduction on the spot, that way, you know, in the future, you can reduce the price, you know, without going back to them to get the permission. That way you can sell the home and, you know, get it done. Like I said earlier, you want to make sure that, you know, all the doubts and the risks are removed. So we talked about, right? You want to see heart to heart. You want to make sure you're in the client's best interest. You want to make sure the energy and the confidence transferred. Don't talk more. Listen for clues. And establish a future price reduction. And remove all doubt and risk. So you want to observe the client, because when they're ready, you know. When they're not ready, you know as well. Okay. So usually the easiest way, I just ask them. So usually, if you have done every step correctly, you will be able to assume the close. The closing will be very smooth, because the reason you can assume the close is because everything went right. So at that time, you don't need to persuade them anymore, because you already did your job. Okay. How do you assume the close? Here's usually what I do. So usually I ask them, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident you are that we can get the home sold for you at the price you want? They say, oh, I'm very confident. Oh, yeah, I think you can do it. Then that's a good sign. But if they do not answer that, if they say, oh, I have this concern, you want to address those concerns. Because if you do not address any concern they have, it's not going to work either. So after you have addressed all the concerns, and after they clearly show that they're ready to move forward, then you just assume the closing. Then if you have done everything right from the beginning, like I said, the closing is not what you do at the end, it's the process. If you have done the process right, you don't need to close. So here's what I say. I say, okay, so here's how the process works. So I only say this if in my mind, I know they're ready, because I already done everything right. Okay. So I say, here's how the process works. We finish the paperwork first. What's the paperwork? The listing contract, right? Here's the thing. You don't want to say anything like contract or sign here, sign there. You don't want to say that kind of words, because that's going to, you know, put the client on their toes. So here's what I say. So first, we finish the paperwork first. Then we take the pictures. Then we share with our buyers, your home with our buyers. Then we pre-market your home. When can we do the photo shoot? Okay, the paperwork. So basically, I'm going through the process here. I tell them, so basically what I'm saying is, I know that you're ready to move forward. Here are the next steps that we need to take to move forward. And in their mind, if you do everything correctly and they open up to you, they trust you and they have the confidence in you, they will just go along with it. Sometimes they're not ready. Sometimes if they're not ready, they're gonna say, oh, I don't know if we're ready to take a picture yet. So they're gonna try to make some kind of excuse to try to stop your process. That happens sometimes, but if you have done everything we just talked about today, the 5 closing framework, if you really did every step, if you're really following all those 5 steps of the framework, then 9 out of 10 times you're gonna be able to come to this point where they're ready. When they're ready, then you can just assume the close. Okay, homework. So same thing, continue doing what you're doing that's working. So you want to practice closing. Talk to at least 1 client a day to practice your closing skills. This whole process is going to take practice. You will not be able to do it just by practicing on your own. You need to practice on people, on real clients. Just do it as often as possible, as quickly as frequently as possible. If you could practice on 1 client a day, then you're gonna get there quickly. So before, I used to practice on Uber drivers. Every time I'd get on an Uber, I practice how to figure out their why quickly. So that's in my mind, that's what I'm trying to do. Although they feel like I'm chatting with them, but my goal is to understand why they're driving an Uber. What's their motivation for working? So I'm practicing the speed for me to understand their why as quickly as possible. It doesn't have to be a home seller. It could be anybody. It could be a Uber driver. It could be somebody standing in the grocery line. Whoever you get to see, talk to them, figure out what kind of personality they are, understand their motivation. Just practice with anybody you meet, you talk to. Try to do that every day. If you can do that every day, then you're gonna increase your skill quickly, because this skill you will not increase without practice. Okay. So yeah, so if you need hands-on help, so we can do that too. Okay. So okay, so now we have the Q&A and feedback. So I know today's session is a lot of conceptual stuff. So sometimes it's easy to lose track, but it's very important. It's next session we're going to talk about actual presentation, but everything we talked about is the underlying framework for the presentation. So this is very important. It's not just for listing presentation. It works for everything in your life, everything else in your life. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get what you want, get whatever. It works for everything. Yeah. Okay. Right now, let me see what time is it. Okay, we're actually doing okay on time. So right now it's 11:10, so we can open up for the Q&A session. Go ahead, Edward.
Oh no, I was saying hi to Sunny.
Oh, Sunny. Okay. Oh, Sunny came back. Okay. So anybody else have any questions? So this process, like I said, you need to try it. You need to practice it. If you don't try it, if you don't practice it, everything will sound very how do you say it? Everything will sound very conceptual. When I was learning the whole process, it's a learning and a practice. So for me, it's actually a process I'm very eager to participate, because I know every time when I talk to somebody, my skill increased a little bit. Every time when I talk to somebody, I can do it smoother, a little bit smoother. Every time when I talk to another person, I can do it quicker. Every time when I talk to another seller, I can be more effective. So that's why okay, who raised the hand? Let me see.
Yeah, so this is Chelsea.
Yeah, Chelsea, yeah.
Yeah, I had two quick questions here. I'm sorry if I disturb you. You can
No, that's-
continue, finish your thoughts
Go ahead.
here.
No, go ahead.
Okay, can you you know, screen to the previous the PowerPoint which is you just showed us about the yes, here.
Okay.
So the first question very simple. Your step 3 is take pictures. And then your 5 steps, when can we do photo shoot? What's the difference between two of them? I'm sorry if I missed your presentation early today.
So first, take a picture is I'm just telling them what the process entails. That's one of the process. The next one is we're trying to book appointment for photo shoot.
Okay, when you say take pictures, you actually means when you do presentation, you want to take pictures right away with your I assume with your cell phone, right?
No. This is a process I'm telling the seller. Once they decide to move forward with us, what's going to happen? So first, finish paperwork, which is sign the contract. Second, we're gonna have people photographers to come take a picture. Third, we're gonna share the property with our buyers database. Fourth, we're gonna pre-market. So these are the process. This one is not a part of process. This one is just I'm trying to book the appointment for photo shoot.
Got it.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to make it into a reality. Remember, we're assuming the close, right? Because I'm trying to get the seller to follow along with what I want them to do.
Got it. Thank you so much. Can you go to the papers you mentioned about the how to prepare the preparation?
Yeah.
I mean, when you do the not here, you actually you have the list of your package. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
here.
every time I go to listing presentation, I have a briefcase. This is everything in my briefcase. Every time when I go to a presentation, we find a table to sit down. Usually I'll suggest them where to sit and how to sit. Remember, you have to control everything, but obviously you have to control without sounding like you're bossy, right? So we'll select a table to. Sometimes they tell me to sit down a place without a table. I say, oh, I actually have some files. We need to have a table to put the files on. Then we move to a table. We'll move to a section with a bigger table. Then I take out all this document and then lay it out on the table. And then remember, we're not gonna move to this stage. Okay, so anyway, so I'm gonna lay everything out, and then I'm gonna go through the listing presentation with them. So depending on the different stage of listing presentation, I'm gonna grab one of the supporting documents to show them.
Got it. The one you list here called the data printer out, Zalo. When you say data print out, it just means you got this properties information from
So for this one, usually what I have is because I have listings that I listed on Zillow before, and it shows that I have many listings before. I was getting 1,000 views on the first day, so I would print it out. I would circle the 1,000 views on the first day. I showed them. I say, hey, when we market your home, we get 1,000 views on the first day. That's one of the reasons we can get multiple offers for you, because we get you more exposure.
I'm sorry, I still not follow you here. When what you mean here?
Okay, so I print out because I have listings before on Zillow, right?
Yes.
And on Zillow, it shows how many views, how many days, how many people.
Oh,
yeah.
Got it. Your profile.
Yeah, not my profile, but the listing I have. The listing.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Because many of my listing before was getting more than 1,000 views on first day.
Okay.
So that's what I'm telling them. I say, hey, when I market your home, usually I get 1,000 views on the first day. There are some agents, they don't get 1,000 views in a year. So here's the proof.
Okay, got it.
I'm showing them. I'm not just talking, right?
Okay.
I'm showing them.
Got it. For the buyer database printout, you truly give the buyer list for the contact address, all the information?
No, it's a fake book. I don't give them, I just shows them. So we have, like I shared with you earlier, we already have the buyers. So here's a sample of the books of the buyers we have. So just to share with you how we got the buyers. So we have a lot of listings. Every time we get buyers call out on our listing, we save their contact information. So here are some of the buyers we have.
Okay. The buy news printout. What do you mean the buy news printout here?
Okay, so I don't know if you have heard in the news. So here's the news from Forbes. The federal government just announced they're gonna increase the interest rate 4 times this year.
I see what you mean here.
Yeah.
I see what you mean here. Okay, great. Okay. The number one is the listing marketing checklist. What's the listing marketing checklist you have here?
So I tell the seller, one of the reasons we can get you more money for your home is because we have a team and we market your homes, get maximum exposure. So every time when we list a home, we have a checklist where we make sure everything is done correctly so that we can get the most exposure for your home.
So you actually give them your marketing plan here?
I don't give them, I just show them.
Okay.
Basically, I show them, hey, you see, your home, when we help you market your home, we're not just gonna put it on MLS. On top of putting on MLS, here's what we do. We have an entire checklist to make sure we get the maximum exposure for your home.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much. That's all
Okay.
my questions. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many comparables do you usually give?
Here's the thing. If you do everything correctly, you don't even need to show them the comparable. Like I said earlier, the comparable is for you to have a clear idea of how much this home is worth. Because all the seller know, all the seller have an idea how much they want to sell their home for. Even if he show a comparable, it will not mean anything. They're not gonna go with the comparable. They're gonna sell whatever price they want to sell. The comparable is just for you in your mind to have a clear idea of how much this home should be worth.
And if you do the price reduction, so when you put in the contract, you put like a 1 week later, if there's no traffic, or what do you usually put there? So
Yeah.
we
We can show that in the next presentation. Usually just price address, and then it's gonna be say okay, 7 days, 14 days, 21 days, and then you put the line there so they can put the price. For example, let's say if the home is worth 900,000, let's say if they want to list it at 1 million, then you say after 7 days, we're going to change it to 970. After 14 days, we're going to change it to 950. After 21 days, we're going to change it to 920, something like that. Then they sign.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Can you guys give me some feedback? Is it too conceptual? Because sometimes if it's too conceptual, it's kind of sounds kind of boring. I don't know if it's too boring.
I have another question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel that when I get to listing presentation, I'm very nervous. And then I do not know if there is any body language or anything we should learn to show us at least we are confident. Sometimes I'm nervous and I don't know,
Okay.
maybe preparation is making us more confident.
Okay, Gloria, it's not about body language. The reason you're nervous because you don't have this. You see the preparation?
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason you are nervous is because you do not remember the script. You do not remember the objections. I don't know if you have the exact pricing in your mind. Do you know exactly? Okay, here's the thing. Usually, sometimes I go to the seller, I tell them, hey, I know exactly how much your home is worth. I know in the market, how much more money people are willing to pay for your home, how much less money people are willing to pay for your home. I know exactly how much your home is worth. You know what I mean, right?
Yes.
So if you know exactly how much the home is worth, and if you in your mind you know that your service is definitely superior and better, different and better, and if you know that doesn't matter what question they ask you or what objections they ask you, you have an answer for it, you will not be nervous. So it only comes with practice. You're nervous because number one, you're not 100% prepared. Number two, you haven't been to enough presentation. The more you go to, the less nervous you're gonna be. The more well prepared, the less nervous you're gonna be. It just takes time.
Got it. Thank you.
I think you have some experience before, because I see you have quite a bit of listings too.
Getting more improvement.
Yeah, so if you just keep going, and if you just like the framework, if you what's the framework? So if you get this framework, if you truly 100% prepared, if you truly have this, if you master the skill to open up the client, the disc, the why, the pricing, if you master the 3 steps, if you are able to clearly demonstrate that you're superior and different, then if you know all these 5 steps, you will not be nervous. I mean, still a little bit. I mean, nowadays when I go to the presentation, I'm not nervous, but I still have a little bit butterfly. But usually I go in very confident. I mean, I don't get excited anymore as much, but I still get a little bit butterfly. But if you, like I said, right? Like I said in the very beginning, right? What is it? Closing is a process. It starts from the beginning. It's not, it's not what you do at the end. Yeah. Do you have any more question about this framework, the closing framework?
Yeah, for the handling objection, I don't know if how many versions. I know there's a Tom Ferry, McFerry, and do you have some script that you're comfortable to share with us?
Yeah. So the objection, if you categorize it, it just it's not that many, right? Usually the objection is about pricing, right? Usually the objection is about wanting to wait, right? Usually, so basically all the objections, the underlying rationale behind the objection handling is just how do you take care of how do you address the fear and the greed, right? Can you go back to closing frame? Okay, let me go back to closing frame. Okay, so let's go through some objections at the listing presentation, Gloria. So whatever objection you have, we can go through right now. Do you have any objections, Gloria?
Well, we're not in a rush. We just have some tenant. We think about it, look in the market, we see what happened. And now a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what we're going to do.
Okay, what made you want to sell the home in the first place?
In the first place, at that time, I think I need to sell it and move to another state. But now I think, everywhere is not so safe. Just stay here, stay home safe.
So you're not gonna move out of state anymore?
No, I think everywhere else is not as safe as home.
How long do you plan to stay in this home? Do you plan to sell this home within the next 5 to 10 years? 5 years or next 10 years?
Probably 5 years, 3-5 years.
Okay, so here's the thing.
It's a condition, right?
So yeah, if you're gonna stay in this home for the next 10 years or 20 years, then it doesn't matter. You can sell in time. Mm-hmm. But if your plan is to sell the home within the next 3 to 5 years, then so I'm assuming that. So you told me earlier that you want to get the most money for the home, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to get the most money for your home, so if you are selling the home within the next 3 to 5 years, then now's the best time to get the most money. I don't know if you're gonna get, if you can get the same amount of money for your home if you sell at a later time, because as I showed you earlier, the federal government has already planned to increase the interest rate 4 times this year. Actually, they just increased interest 1%.
Oh, I know interest rate is rising, but I think the demand is huge. Even though there's interest increasing, I think the shortage of inventory will give my home even more equity, more price. I can sell for more and more.
Well, there is a point where people cannot afford it anymore if the interest continues to climb.
Oh,
Yeah. So I mean, it's your call. I mean, if you do plan to get the home sold, I'm definitely your best option. I can get you, I guarantee I can get you the most money, because we can get you most offers. It's your call. But if your goal is to get the most money, now's the best time to sell. Let's say if you don't care how much money you're gonna get for your home, if you say I want to be comfortable, I want to stay here because I'm comfortable here. I don't care if I'm gonna lose $50,000 or $100,000 selling 2 years later, then that's your call.
yeah, I already searched around. I found some property, and then I'm currently having a condominium. I'm trying to have a 1-level home. I searched, I found some, but it's very hard to buy, and I have to buy a place to live in, and then I can sell. Otherwise, I cannot sell. It's too difficult to buy than to sell.
Actually, there's many options. Option 1, we can lease back, sell and lease back. So that way you only have to move once. We can sell the home and have the buyer agree to allow you to stay here until you move into your new home.
But what if I cannot find that new home at all?
Well, we'll put a contingency because we'll put a contingency in the sale of your home. So if you do not find a home, we can just cancel their purchase.
Oh, you mean the purchase contingency?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it, because we can make sure that you're taken care of. We obviously we want to make sure you have a smooth transaction. I mean, transaction.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Okay.
For that option.
Yeah, so it's whatever you want, we can get it done for you. Yeah, and like I said earlier, if you want the most money, now's the best time to sell. I just don't want you to miss the opportunity. Yeah.
You keep saying that the best time to sell is now. This word sounds a little bit salesy, as I could say.
But remember,
a little bit.
I'm not saying that because I want to make the most money. I don't think I sound like that. I'm saying that because I ask you what you want, what's most important for you.
Okay.
Because what's most important for you is to get the most money. But I'm just okay. I'm more a direct person. I'm more a straightforward person. I'm not gonna be able to say something that I don't believe in myself. That myself don't believe. Whatever I tell you is the straight answer.
Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes you can say the same thing, but ask a question, put in a question for them.
Yeah. So who said to come to the closed framework? Anybody have a question about the closed framework? So Gloria, to answer your question, so your question earlier was what? The seller is not ready to move forward. That's why we did the mock-up.
Mm-hmm. So I think this framework and all this, I think need a lot of practice.
Yeah.
So how do you practice it? Just like everywhere you go, you just keep asking questions and
yeah. So it's because it has many components. You're not gonna get it on day one. Depending on how frequently you practice, I think you probably need at least 100 presentations to get a basic handling of it. So I just so when I was practicing the whole thing, I was literally going to a listing presentation every day. That's the best way to practice. But even if I don't get a chance to practice listing presentation, like I shared with you earlier, every time I get on an Uber, I practice how to figure out the why, because the why and the motivation, that's the most important part of the whole presentation. Because you need to understand why. If you do not understand why, the whole thing will fall apart. As long as you understand why, then it will work. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Your turn.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay. So Ray, when you do the presentation, right? You mentioned you have to be the boss. You have to control the pace. You also have to be.
No, I didn't say that. No. Listen, you want to control the entire process, but you don't want to look like you're the boss.
Yes. Yes. I take it back. You want to in control the entire the process.
Yeah.
No, my first question is do you have some every time when you prepare or go to the truly presentation, do you have something like some questions, golden questions on your list you have to asking the client so they can open up their mind?
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna go to so next we're gonna talk about that in detail next time, because today is about closing. Next time we're gonna talk about the presentation itself. So the question to answer your question.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me see. Where's that slide? Okay. So here's the question I ask. So usually when I go in the back of my mind, this is the 3 objectives I need to achieve. I need to figure out the disk. I need to know the why. I need to know the price. But everything is done through like a casual chatting. It sounds like chatting. It feels like chatting. It cannot be too formal. It's very informal. So I talk about, oh, so what did you do before you retired? Then they tell me, oh, I owned a business. Oh, I was a nurse. Then in my mind, I know, okay, so once I figure out what job they did, then I know that kind of personality. Then from there on, I'm gonna feed them the kind of answer they want, right?
Okay.
And for the why, so once I figure out the disk, then I'm gonna move on to the why. Remember, all this step is going on in the back of my mind. Okay, I'm not gonna tell them, oh, right now I'm gonna figure out your disk. Next I'm gonna figure out why. I'm not gonna tell them that. That's something for myself to keep in mind. So once I know the disk, then I'm gonna go to the why. So for the why, I'm gonna be I will ask you. So hey, what made you want to sell your home? So who are you doing this for? What's most important for you in selling this home? Just basically so in order to figure out the why, is basically you're trying to find out the what and the whom. So once you find out the what and the whom, then you'll get the why. So basically, but a lot of times you're not gonna get the straight answer right away. Basically, you like the couple questions I just shared with you, you just ask those same questions in different way, many times until they open up to you.
Okay, got it. So how do you handle, my last question is, how do you handle objections for 2 case scenario? One, if the seller want to sell their house, in unreasonable price, and
Okay, let's just do it one by
seller
one.
is not reasonable person to.
Let's just do the first objection, and you be the seller, I'll be the agent. Okay.
Okay. So you want me go ahead, right?
Yeah. So you act as a seller. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't care about the market price, which you show me. I have some price in my mind. If I reach out that price, then I'm going to sell. If you're not able to reach that price, then I'm not going to sell. I just hold that property.
Okay. You mentioned to me earlier that you also have a lot of friends that are realtors, right? So here's the thing: if you're wanting to sell your home at a market price, you don't need me. You can get any of your friends that are realtors, they can get it sold for you. But because the price you want is actually higher than the market price, I'm actually your best option to get that price.
Okay, so this is the one response with during presentation. What happened after you signed the lease agreement? Then you got a multiple offers come in. Then the seller still hold you, saying, what? All the offers, I'm not happy. I want to get the offer which is not not as reasonable. So, for let's say that the market value for that property probably 1 million, but I want 1.5. Okay, I just say, you know what? Thank you for your hard work, all this one, but all this offers, you know,
Okay,
it's not just my fault.
So if that's the situation, then it's your call because it's basically mission impossible, right? So then you would decide, do you want to take it or not? Because if you take it, you know the home is not on sale, and then you would just be taking the listing because for marketing value, because you get it online, you have the sign. So you know, unless the seller changes the mind, then it's not going to work because the gap is too big.
Okay, and also, how do you handle the commission negotiation? I know a lot of people training, you know, trainers have their version how to handle that. You know, what's the strategy to handle that commission?
The commission, the answer for the commission is the same thing. If you stick with the framework, if you focus on the why, the commission will become less relevant. What I mean by that is, let me go to the framework. Okay. What I mean by that is that if you truly understand the seller's motivation, and if they truly believe that you can get them what you want, then sometimes the commission, you know, became not a priority.
Okay, so let's rehearsal here. Let's say I'm the seller. I'm calling you.
Okay.
So you know what, Ray? Okay, I have confidence in you, but you know what? You know, today anybody can sell their house because today's market is seller's market. You know what? I have the open door. I have the red thing. They can sell this price. You know, they can sell this one. It's not sell by you. I can sell by them. You know, they will give you. They only charging me 1% commission. So if not match, you know, I'm sorry. Then I have to go with them.
Yeah, it's actually not about the commission. It's about how much money you want net in your pocket, right? Do you agree with me? Do you want to sell your? Are you looking to sell your home with the least commission, or are you trying to sell your home get the most money in your pocket?
I believe that right now is seller's market. So maybe in buyer's market, maybe the listing agent will make a difference. But you know what? Today is a seller's market. You know, anybody can sell this house. Even myself can sell this house.
Correct. But we're not talking about who can sell the home. We're talking about who can get you the most money, right?
But I don't believe the listing agent make a difference in how much money we're going to get here because you know what? As soon as we put it on the market, there will be tons of buyer is begging to to bid up our price in here. I don't believe you actually the listing agent is important into this market.
What's most important for you in selling the home?
Of course, I want to sell this house in the hassle-free as fast as possible. So that's why I have this conversation with you. I believe in you, but the commission part, if you're not flexible, you know what? Then I have to go to another agent.
We have different options. Like I want to ask you the same question. You haven't answered me. If you had to pick one outcome for the selling of your home, what outcome is the most important for you?
I don't know what you talk about. You are not you try to get me lost in here. I'm not interested in your question.
My question is, are you trying to sell your home with the most money, or are you trying to sell your home with the least hassle? Which one is it?
What's the difference? I want all.
Okay, which one is the priority?
Does not matter. I can have all as my top priority, right?
Okay. What's the outcome you want?
I already told you. You're not listening to me. So why you repeat? You just tell me what's your how much you want for your commission. We're done to this conversation.
Yeah, I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just trying to figure out how can we do it so we can best service you.
I just need a simple answer from you. You make that so complicated here.
I don't even understand your question. What's your question?
My question is, I got offer from very good agent. They only charging me 1% commission here.
Okay.
Can you do it too with 1% commission?
I can do it 1%. I can do it 0%. It's just how much you want. That's what I was asking. If we have different package, right? We can put your home on the market. We can charge you 1%. But there's different services provided. I mean, we can sell your home for 1% if you want. But the reason I'm asking you the question before is, if the price is important for you, we have multiple marketing programs that we can potentially get you more money for your home. So if you're interested in getting more money for your home, 1% will not work. If all you care about is the cheapest commission, then we have the option for you. That's what I'm asking you. Are you interested in paying the least commission or getting the most money in your pocket? That's my question. You haven't asked me that question.
Okay, thank you. I follow you. Thank you.
Okay.
That's very good.
Good answer.
So I'm not, sometimes I know that there's a lot of customers, they can be aggressive like this. The key is do not get confrontational. I mean, I'm not nervous, I'm not confrontational. The reason I continue to keep talking is because in my mind, I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm just trying to figure out what's the best option for you. But for me to find out what's the best option for you, I need to know what you want. If you tell me, okay, I don't care about how much money I get, I only want to care about the least commission, okay, then we can go with that route. But if you tell me, obviously, most, logical person would not say that. Most logical people will say, okay, I think I want the most money in my pocket, right? So I'm not trying to argue with the seller. I'm just trying to figure out what's the best option for the seller, or how can we best, provide the best outcome for the seller. Oh, whose name is iPhone? Because my staff is asking, because we need to know who's a good participating. Who did I just talk to? The iPhone. It's because you're showing it only as iPhone, no name.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chelsea.
Chelsea. Okay, Chelsea. Okay.
He was asking, right? Okay.
Yeah, Jocelyn. So that I was just talking to Chelsea. Okay, Edward, you had a question?
I think one of the things you can ask while you're setting the appointment is, do you have any questions before I arrive? And then they're going to bring up the commission, how much you charge for commission. And then you can say, well, commission is totally negotiable. That'll be one of the first things we talk about when we meet.
So here's the thing.
Yeah. And then you ask, do you have any other questions? How many boxes have you sold? And then this way you close the presentation prepared, because this guy's going to hammer me on commission and how many homes I sold. So
like I said earlier from the beginning, right? You do not want to focus on the end, the closing. You do not focus on the commission. You want to focus, you want to understand that closing is a process. It starts from there. Because the reason I say that is, if you do it correctly, if you focus on the why, if you focus on solving the client's problem, a lot of times I sign listing where the whole time the seller didn't ask a single question about commission. Sometimes I sign the listing, I leave, and the client come chase after me and in the front door. Oh, wait, how much the commission? They already signed the contract. So you want to keep in mind, it's not about the commission. It's not about the, although I kept telling you, you need to memorize the script, you need to memorize the objections, but it's not about that. That is just something you have to, you may encounter. But if you do it, if you really do it correctly, about with what we just talked about today, you do not, in a lot of cases, you don't even need to address those problems. That's what I mean, Because if you focus on, okay, let's come to this section, okay. So this is what I mean. If we throw away all the objections, all the script, all this process, all the disk, everything, if we don't worry about any of those, if you just get this process right, then you will be successful at least 80% of the time. Even if you do not know any of those other stuff we just talked about. If you just truly care about what the client wants, you really figure it out. If you just truly understand, what they want. If you truly from, consulting the client from in their best interest and guide them to the right solution and guarantee them the outcome, you don't need any of that, any of other stuff.
Okay, how do you handle the conversation when your client asking you or question you about your, your capability here?
Okay. Okay, let's just do a mock-up. Just act like a seller and then we'll go through it. Go ahead if you're ready. Okay.
Yes, I see. You know what? Ray, thank you so much for your presentation here, but I don't think you are familiar with this neighborhood, and also, by the way, I have a good friend who is a broker for working in this neighborhood for over 40 years old. And we are good friends. And he's also he's very familiar with this neighborhood. He just living across the street. He has a lot of family in this neighborhood. So most likely, I probably will choose him instead of you.
Okay. Let me ask you, what does the seller want?
Huh?
Let me ask you, what does the buyer want?
The buyer? I'm the seller to talk to you this way.
Yeah. No, we're doing the markup right now. So, okay, let me ask you, what does the seller want? What do you want? You want an agent or you want a buyer?
I want a good agent. Of course, I want a buyer. Yes, I want a good buyer with a good agent. I want to have a good listing agent, which I feel comfortable.
Does your agent already have buyers?
Oh.
How many homes have they sold?
He sold a lot in this neighborhood. Actually, this neighborhood was his dominant agent in this neighborhood.
Do they already have the buyer in the database ready to buy?
I don't know. That part I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So like I said with you earlier, I don't know, probably you didn't remember what I was talking about. The biggest difference that, between us and other realtors is that we already have the buyers. So before, remember I mentioned to you earlier, we have like at least 27 buyers that's looking to buy in your neighborhood right now.
But I was assuming he should have no problem to bring the buyers also, as long as we put in the MS, right?
Okay, so here's the thing. Most realtors will sign a contract and go look for the buyers. But with us, we already have the buyers.
Now how much you buyer going to offer?
Here's how the process works. Okay, like I said, shared with you earlier. First, we need to finish the paperwork. Then we need to take a photo, and then we're gonna share the property, your property, with the buyers in our database.
How about that? I'm going to pay you, buyer commission, buyer side commission. I will ask him, my friend, which is that is the broker, to contact you. So, so you are working as a buyer side, he working on the listing side.
So you told me earlier that you want to get the most money, correct?
Yes.
The proposal you just gave to me will not help you get the most money. The reason I'm saying that is that we actually have multiple marketing programs where we're able to get multiple buyers and we're able to get multiple offers for you. That's why usually we can get you at least 5 to 10% more money for your home.
Yeah, I understood. I pay your buyer commission, right? If you bring me a good buyer, my house only to sell one people here. So if you bring me the highest offer, the best offer, good buyers, you're more than welcome to contact to that broker. But anyhow, you can contact to me also. I'm pay your buyer side.
Yeah, I can bring the buyer. I can bring you the buyers, but I'm not going to be able to get you multiple offers because we have a multiple marketing program where that's how we can bring you the multiple offers to get you more money.
No, why you cannot help me here? Since you talk about you have buyer.
Like I shared with you earlier, in order for us to deploy the multiple program, we need to have a paperwork completed.
I simply try to play tricks in here. Anyhow, if you truly have buyer, if you truly have buyers, a ready buyer, this is you can bring that offer to me right now or maybe tomorrow. Then I can attend you to see the offer is good or not.
Yeah, that's not how we work. Yeah, we know what value we can bring to the seller, and we are very confident that we can get you the most money for your home. But the proposal you give to me will not bring you those kind of outcome. So that's why we will not work under those kind of scenario. If you
That's okay. I'm not going to sign the leasing agreement with you today. Okay, I'm just not feel comfortable to sign. And
what's the reason you don't feel comfortable? I'm not trying to have you sign anything. I'm just agreeing with you.
I have this meeting with you because you know, you told me you have buyers, and also I believe in you. But anyhow, like I told you, I already have something in my mind. You know, that the dominant agent, most likely I'm going to maybe next Monday I'm going to hire him as my leasing agent. I believe he can bring multiple buyer agent to my door.
Okay, you just told me you don't know if he has buyers or not, right?
But he can bring multiple. He can work in with multiple buyer agent. Not only you are just one of the buyer agent here.
You mean he can bring multiple buyers agent?
Yeah, he's very experienced in this neighborhood.
I shared with you earlier. We have a CUI network. We works with many different companies, and also we already have the buyers. So I don't know what's the complication here. You told me your agent, you're not sure if he has the buyer. I told you we already have the buyers.
And also, yes, and also he's working for Calderon Banker, and you know, and I don't know your broker. You know, I have no clue what your broker. You know, so I feel more comfortable with him.
So I already share you the homes we sold in the area. You know, I already share you my company. I know you have a lot of concerns. You have this worry in your mind. What's your biggest concern? If I may ask, what's your biggest concern here? Because I'm a little bit lost.
Okay, thank you. I thought you tried to transfer. You tried to transfer this conflict conversation.
No, I'm not transferring anything. I'm just trying to understand what you're trying to get at, because I'm confused.
Yeah, I just told you, right? If you have buyer, bring that buyer to me, and but I'm not going to sign this agreement with you.
Okay, so right now we're doing this, so it's a little bit awkward because I do not understand your why. If I had started from the beginning of the presentation and I understand exactly what you're trying to achieve, then I think it's going to be much easier to close you. Because right now I don't know what's your motivation, because you're just dancing around, so I don't know what you want. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Thank you.
Any other questions? So here's the thing, right? If you're in your mind, if you're not trying to get the listings, if you're working really hard to figure out exactly what the seller wants, and if you really can get what they want, then everything else is going to be so much easier. We're not trying to get the listings. We're not trying to get the seller to sign the paperwork. We're trying to figure out exactly what the seller wants. What's the motivation that made them want to sell the home? We want to understand that clearly, and we want to know how much they want to sell their home for, the exact price they want, so that we can deliver them what they want. We can guarantee to them what we can give to them. If that's your focus, if your focus is always in the seller's best interest, if you are confident that you can get them what they want, and you know exactly what they want, then everything will be so much easier. So the last markup with Sherry, I believe it's a little bit awkward, is because number one, I don't know what she wants. So that made it more difficult. Yeah. Because in actual scenario, I don't think any agent will say, I don't think any seller will say, oh, I don't care, I just want this agent. That's not real. In real scenario, I don't think anybody will be like that, except if the agent is the wife or the husband or the parents. But if the agent is just any other agent, if the seller gonna tell me, oh, I don't care, I just want to use this agent, then I don't think that's a real scenario. Yeah. Anybody else have any more questions? Okay, if that's probably then. So we're almost 11:57. So if you guys anybody have any feedback, anything else anything else I need to do to improve the course? Because I think it's pretty good that you guys give the feedback from the beginning. That's why we're doing this course in this sequence. So last course we talk about lead generation. This course we talk about closing. So the next course we're going to talk about presentation. So if you have any suggestion how we can improve the course to make it more much better. So I'm going to try to incorporate more real life scenario. I'm going to try to include more stories and more real examples. It's probably going to make it much easier to follow, because sometimes when it's conceptual, it's too conceptual, it's kind of become boring quickly. But today, because we're talking about a lot of the mindset and the closing mindset, and so some of the content are kind of conceptual. Hopefully, it doesn't make it too boring. So if anybody else have any more questions, we can answer one more question. Otherwise, we'll finish the course. Okay then. So thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you guys next time. So the next course will be presentation. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Ray. Bye.
Thank you, Ray.